Hey everyone, good to be with you once again for this bonus feature we call Extra Time. A little selection of thoughts and questions to follow up and hopefully complement all that we've been looking at in today's YouTube session. A number of questions await, so eyes down for a full house. Now, you'll hopefully recall we began at the top by exploring the significance of the way in which the Greek god Asclepius was worshipped, the god of medicine who people at the time of Jesus would often turn to for healing. I mentioned how one of the ways in which people sought this god's healing was to spend time in his shrines or temples, even sleeping in them overnight. And so a gentle starter for 10. If you could have an overnight stay anywhere in the world, where would you choose and why? Now, a sleepover followed by a dip in a nearby pool was a key way devotees to Asclepius expressed their faith in him to heal them. But interestingly, we know there was another main way in which this devotion to Asclepius was expressed. Indeed, people at the time with medical complaints would apparently commission a local sculptor to make a terracotta replica of the part of their body they wanted healing for, and then prayerfully offer it at Asclepius' shrine. So in the ancient Greek city of Corinth, for example, archaeologists have uncovered over 30,000 clay body parts, a whole variety of limbs, hands, feet, genitals, you name it. Quite a moneymaker for local sculptors, I'm sure. No doubt charging an arm and a leg for their services. Oh, thank you. Now, a little Brucey bonus of a tangent for you, but it's interesting to note that in a letter which the Apostle Paul wrote to Christian believers in this same city of Corinth, he uses a metaphor of distinct body parts to illustrate not how disjointed, but rather how connected we are as people under God, an image Paul calls the body of Christ. And so, a question or two in light of this. If you could liken your role in the community to a body part, which part of the body do you think you are and why? And then secondly, what might Paul's use of local customs to illustrate deeper truths have to teach us about the ways we might communicate and explain our faith? Alright, if we return to the pool of Bethesda, we reflected on some of the ways in which Jesus engaged with those he met. So let's pick up some of these ways and explore them a little bit more. For a start, if you recall, we said Jesus deliberately spent time with people who were drawn to the god Asclepius. As our question might be, to what extent do you tend to mix with those who are different to you? And secondly, which different people might God be calling you to spend more time engaging with? Jesus struck up a conversation with the guy he eventually healed. He listened and he learned that he'd been living with his disability for 38 years. On top of this, rather than assume he knew the answer, Jesus made a point of asking the man if he wanted to get well. And so for you, what would you say are key principles behind the art of good conversation? And then a follow-up. Is there a difference between good and godly conversation? And then moving on to a final area of thought for today, this whole topic of faith and healing. You see, the healing at the pool of Bethesda is an example of the way in which Jesus healed people regardless of whether they knew him or even had faith in him. And yet, elsewhere, Jesus makes a point of commending people's faith as part of the healing process. And so in light of this, what difference do you think faith makes in enabling God's healing to take effect? And then lastly for today, to what extent has your faith in God grown during your life? And secondly, what difference has this growth made to the way in which you relate to God and to others? Alright, we'll knock it on the head there for today. I hope it's been a beneficial bonus feature this week, but we're back next week anyway with another online offering when we'll be concluding this little series on healing. Until then though, take care, and in the words of a 90s Bon Jovi classic, keep the faith. Bye for now.